Hey everyone, welcome back to Weird Rewind, where we dig up the strangest, wildest, and sometimes most disastrous parts of history. Today we're diving into the graveyard of Hollywood's biggest flops. We're talking about movies so expensive, so baffling, and so legendary in their terribleness that they went down in history, just not in the way the producers intended. Starting out with number 8, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Guy Ritchie has been known for some pretty incredible movies in the past. Lock, Stock, Snatch, and Rock and Roller, to name a few. He decided to take on this epic legend, pump it full of CGI, give it a street-smart twist, include a truly dreadful cameo of David Beckham, and as a result, well, audiences just weren't into it. Critics called it all style and no story, and they weren't wrong. With a budget of $175 million, it made only $148 million worldwide. With the marketing and distribution costs, it reportedly lost about $150 million. Number 7. The Lone Ranger. Disney had high hopes for this. Putting Johnny Depp in a crow headdress and casting him as Tonto can't fail, surely. In this version of the classic western, we follow John Reed, a lawyer turned vigilante who teams up with the quirky and mystical Native American Tonto. Together, they try to bring down a corrupt railroad tycoon and an outlaw who has a disturbing fondness for eating human organs. Yes, that's the actual plot point. Somehow the film couldn't decide if it was a grim western or a slapstick comedy, and audiences ended up just bored. Disney lost almost $200 million, which is the actual cost of a small Wild West town. Number 6. Joker 2. Now you might be thinking, wait, wasn't the first Joker movie a massive success? And you'd be right. It earned Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar and raked in over $1 billion worldwide. But when Joker 2, or Joker Folie à Deux, hit theaters, it was a different story entirely. The sequel attempted to recapture the raw, gritty energy of the original, but ended up going down a strange and awkward path. Set as more of a psychological musical with Lady Gaga joining the chaos as Harley Quinn, it veered into an odd blend of unsettling songs, fragmented storytelling, and surreal imagery, and not the good kind. Critics panned it for being disjointed, and audiences left scratching their heads. Despite the huge hype and an inflated budget, Joker 2 flopped hard at the box office, and failed to capture the lightning-in-a-bottle success of its predecessor. At the time of making this video, the film is facing a potential loss of around $295 million. Keep in mind that the first film cost about a quarter of that money to make. Ouch. Number 5. 47 Ronin. Starring Keanu Reeves and, well, Keanu Reeves as a samurai? The plot is loosely based on a Japanese legend about 47 samurai seeking vengeance for their dishonored master. But Hollywood decided that the only way to tell this classic story was by adding a white savior character with mystical powers. His character, Kai, is a half-breed who's shunned by the samurai until they need his supernatural help. Throw in a shape-shifting witch, a giant CGI beast, and way too much slow-mo action, and what you get is a tragic accident in slow motion. The movie came with a price tag of $175 million, and what did it make? $151 million. Stick with Wick, Keanu. Number 4. Cutthroat Island. This was supposed to be the swashbuckling pirate adventure of the century. The story follows Morgan Adams, played by Geena Davis, as a daring pirate captain who's on a quest to find legendary treasure buried on Cutthroat Island. Classic. To do so, she needs to battle her evil uncle, dodge bounty hunters, and crack a complex treasure map. Sounds so fun, right? Well, the whole thing was weighed down by endless rewrites, cartoonish action scenes, and a dialogue that should have walked the plank. It was basically Pirates of the Caribbean without the charm, the humor, the decent scriptwriting, the special effects, the soundtrack, the budget, and let's be honest, Jack Sparrow. They spent nearly $100 million, but the movie barely scraped together $10 million at the box office. It tanked so hard that it took the entire studio down with it. Yeah, they went bankrupt. Number 3. Cats. Ah yes, the musical about singing, dancing, and nightmare-inducing CGI felines. This movie starred an A-list cast: Taylor Swift, Idris Elba, and Dame Judi Dench. But what it didn't have? A clear reason to exist. Based on the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, Cats is about a tribe of felines called the Jellicles, who gather each year to send one lucky cat to be reincarnated, or something like that. But between the eerie CGI and the cats with human faces, it felt more like a horror show than a musical. Let's be honest, Whoever's idea it was to cast James Corden as a cat should have been fired on the spot. Audiences weren't sure if they should run, scream, or both. The movie cost around $95 million to make, and Universal lost an estimated $100 million as a result. No 9 lives here. This movie died immediately. Number 2, The Oogie Loves in the Big Balloon Adventure. Now, if you haven't heard of this one, we are so sorry to drag it into your awareness. The Oogie Loves in the Big Balloon Adventure was marketed as an interactive experience for kids, where audiences were encouraged to get up, sing, and dance along with very creepy puppets. The plot, or what there is of it, follows 3 puppet-like creatures, Gooby, Zuzi, and Toofy, on a mission to find 5 magical balloons for a friend's birthday. Along the way, they meet bizarre characters played by a bunch of C-list celebrities. Kids were supposed to get up and dance along, but since no one showed up to theaters, this movie was a silent party. It had about a $20 million budget, but just made $1 million, enough to go down as one of the lowest grossing releases in US history. It also scores an almost record-breaking 1.7 on IMDb.com. Number 1. Geely. Finally, our grand champion of Hollywood flops, and this really is the grand champion. If you haven't already seen it, you've saved yourself exactly 2 hours and 1 minute of life. This Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez romantic comedy made headlines for its real-life romance, but truly tanked at the box office. The story is about a mobster, Larry Geely, who's hired to kidnap the mentally challenged brother of a federal prosecutor. Enter Jennifer Lopez's character, a hit woman sent to keep an eye on him. She also happens to be a lesbian. Naturally, Geely tries to win her over in cringeworthy scenes that critics called unwatchable. And if it wasn't a hit back then, it certainly hasn't aged well. With a $75 million budget and only $7 million in returns, Geely didn't just flop, it dove headfirst into flop history. Perhaps there's still hope for Bennifer, though? And there you have it. 8 movie flops that, in some way, made legendary status. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Weird Rewind. What's your favorite box office disaster? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, keep questioning the past to understand the present. See you in the next Rewind.